How's it guys, Munash here, and today we have some rank 4 Mole Man Alliance War gameplay. So I actually took him to rank 4 at the beginning of this Alliance War season, so I have a good amount of gameplay now. And that was a very easy choice for me because he is the skill champ I've used the most in the past year and a half. Especially in Alliance War, I've used him more than every other skill champ combined. Even without the hood synergy, I'd still be using him a lot because he is really good for paths 4 and 5, which are the two paths that I take the most. Even in Alliance Quest, I use him a lot because he's pretty much the best counter for Path 1 in the first two sections. In fact, he's so good I'll use my Ascended 6-star when my 7-stars in Alliance War. So he has been rank 3 unduped ever since I got him last year from the Omega event. And even though he doesn't need the dupe, I still would have taken him to rank 4 unduped. I did have a skill gem, so I decided to use that on him for the aesthetics and give him a couple of 6 stones as well. Because all the Sig really does is give him more damage based on missing health, although it can be quite significant when your health is very low. So I just figured maybe if I'm in a situation where my health is critical, I'll at least be hitting a lot harder, so maybe I'll be able to clutch out the fight. But that still never happened, like not even close. All my Mole Man fights have been pretty smooth, fairly clean, I don't lose more than 30% health, and that's usually just from damaging debuffs or stuff like Power Sting, so yeah, really not needed. Alright, so let's jump into Alliance War, starting off with a pretty simple fight, a Quicksilver with steady build-up reverse controls and calcify. So whenever you get 3 debuffs on you, you will be inflicted with reverse controls, and you have to get rid of all the debuffs to remove the reverse controls. And with calcify, whenever the opponent throws a special attack, they will inflict 3 petrified debuffs on you. So you ideally want someone either who's immune to reverse controls, or someone who can either prevent or just remove the debuffs. So Mole Man can purify the debuffs passively, which is very handy, and he does have some abilities to block unblockable attacks, so I can also parry unblockable specials if I don't want to risk dexing with reverse controls. But rank 4 Mole Man is an absolute monster and does so much damage that I don't even need to bait a special attack, because I can just do 4-hit combos, then hold block and use my unstoppable on block to get easy openings and not have to bait a special attack. And the special too was very overkill. In fact, I could have done this fight in very similar time without even using a special attack. And that's very typical for my Mole Man path fights. In fact, the only one that didn't go that well, or that quickly rather, is this Rintrah. Because it is Rintrah, he's a bit of a beefy boy, no pun intended. But yeah, he is quite tanky, a big health pool, long special attacks, and of course he's a mystic with MD and neutralize, so you do have to kind of play around that. He can gain those charges fairly quickly if you're not knocking him down regularly, and if I want to go unstoppable, I have to make sure I'm not neutralized. Then there's also the nodes that slow you down a bit, because there is steady, now severe, unsteady, which makes you have to get 15 hits on your combo in 18 seconds, or you get a severe unsteady debuff, which just means you're gonna be glancing the whole time. And I was 1 hit too late to prevent that initial unsteady, so I just waited that out before doing all my damage. Still a very comfortable fight. It only took 57 seconds, but that is a bit on the long side for a Part 4 fight for Mole Man. Like, the next fight will be over before you even know it, because we have a Void with steady build up Fury, and that already should tell you enough, because with that node you get a Fury passive whenever you purify. So the more debuffs you get to purify, the more damage you'll be doing with Mole Man. Although there is also Special Burst Trauma Severe, so when he throws a special attack, you will get a severe taunt and physical vulnerability on you, which can't be purified, so that can hurt because it is Void as well. And also, he has Daunting Taunting, so whenever you reach a bar of power, you get a taunt debuff on you, although that one isn't severe at least. And the fight is over before I can even finish talking about it, because with Suicide Marshes and an advanced power boost, you start with 3 debuffs which you instantly purify, and that just gives you so much damage. So the taunts reducing your attack didn't even matter in this fight. Rank 4 Void goes down in 12 seconds, and this is a very common placement as well. Now we're doing another fairly common placement, or at least it used to be, which is Knull on node 31, steady build up unblockable, and painful retreat. I think I've taken this fight 3 or 4 times this season. Other times it's been Dust or Serpent. But Knull is by far the easiest, because Mole Man is just built for this fight, because he starts off by purifying everything, so all those debuffs that Knull inflicts at the start go away, including the heal block node. Then you enter Frenzy, which allows you to block anything that's unblockable as long as you have 3 out of 5 and stand your ground. And then it's super easy to bait Knull special too with the unstoppable on block. Now I just want to go back to node 13 in section 1 with the severe unsteady, just to show some Moleman without the double edge, liquid courage and recoil masteries. I think this was the one Moleman fight I did without them, so I just didn't feel like swapping for one fight. It was very unnecessary. I mean, even without them, the damage is still very good. And sure, I was punching down on a rank 3 spot, but that fight still took 20 seconds with no additional damage modifiers besides boosts. And this also shows how easy it is to prevent the unsteady debuff and not have to worry about baiting specials, untouchable or any of that other spot nonsense. Now I also want to show what a Moleman fight looks like without entering Frenzy. So we're going back to node 22, which does have steady build up Fury, so that does help with the damage. Because to be honest, in a vanilla circumstance, Moleman's damage is not very good when he's not in Frenzy because he's very reliant on crit RNG. And I think he has a fairly low crit rate. The crit rate stat focus can help with that of course, but I typically run crit damage, so I'm doing almost every fight mostly in Frenzy. But this is one fight you can do fairly quickly without it, due to the steady build up node. Not entering Frenzy will allow you to be able to regularly purify debuffs which give you those Fury passives. It also makes dealing with Ham very safe because you get to maintain the true accuracy, but either way, as long as you're spamming special 1, you'll keep his charges low so he won't evade. Now let's get to some mini bosses, and I do have a couple, the first one being Knull on node 42, so that's power snack, 1 too many hits and steady build up unblockable. A fairly common placement. I've taken it at least twice with Moleman now, I think once or twice with Wiccan and maybe once with Hood as well. And out of all of them, I think I prefer Moleman. I just feel he controls the fight very well. Even though he's not immune to Nullify, you can play around the power snack. In fact, you can sort of use it to your advantage to make it easier to bait special too, but you do need to know when to dex and when you can and can't go unstoppable. Fortunately, there's not much to keep an eye on with Moleman, because once you enter Frenzy, you don't care about unblockable. So it's really just the power snack timer. The power stings don't really do that much damage and you'll still heal a fair amount from willpower. Even with bad AI, like I had an instance where Knull was just taking forever to throw the special 2. All I had to do was parry like 4 times just to not trigger power snack. Then he eventually threw it into my block and then I punished and finished him off. I still use invulnerability boosts for extra safety, but it's not even needed for this fight because he's never close to throwing a special 3. Now we're gonna move on to something a little bit more tricky. Same node, but now it's Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew. Apparently this placement has been claiming bodies this season and I can sort of see why. I mean, it's not an easy one, but I thought Moleman would make it look easy, especially with the gentle synergy, because that will allow you to get a true accuracy buff when you enter Frenzy so you can still counter evade, basically making him like how he was before the nerf. But one thing I didn't realize at the time is that it is a buff, and I triggered Power Snack and Frenzy at the same time, so that charred the Unstoppable, which was expected, but I also lost the true accuracy buff with it. And I never re-entered Frenzy, so the gentle synergy was essentially useless for this fight. So now I have to be cautious with my combos and watch out for that evade, because she can catch you quite easily, especially if you're fumbled and she has a special 1 ready, which you can't dex while fumbled, and that will inflict all those severe power stings on you, so if that were to happen, you just can't throw special attacks. Fortunately, I was still able to control the fight fairly well, either backing off when she evades or making sure I have a special 2 ready, because it is unblockable, so even if she does evade the first few hits, some will still connect. Also try to use Striker and parry stuns to do hits that can't be evaded, although she does inflict a 7-second ensnare debuff passively every 15 seconds, which does lower your ability accuracy by 30%, so you can't always rely on those parry stuns. So yeah, Moleman does it again. Pretty clean fight, I would say, although I did lose 20%, but I was at 100 before I threw that last special too, so that 20% was all power sting damage. Now we're gonna move on to a slightly bigger mini boss, which is Quicksilver on 48. Stunning Reflection, Bleed Shock, Bane, Force of Will, and Safeguard. So there will be no big yellow numbers here due to Safeguard, but Mole still does really well because Quicksilver is not bleed immune. So I can easily disable Stunning Reflection, which will allow me to parry stun and do even more bleed damage while it's disabled. Oh, and here you can actually see the gentle synergy coming into play with the true accuracy buff. But again, it's pretty useless for this fight because Quicksilver can't evade guaranteed crits anyway. So Moleman counters the defender and all the main nodes pretty well. Force of Will doesn't really matter, and Bane is pretty easy to play around with how easy it is to get openings with Moleman. So even though my hit damage was capped at about 7,700, this fight still only took 58 seconds, and it could have been a little bit faster if I played more aggressively, especially towards the end. So not bad at all for 766,000 health. And now we have one more fight, which is going to be Quicksilver once again, but this time he's on the boss node. So he has stun immunity and energize along with 1.3 million health. So this will be the longest fight, but it still didn't really feel like a long fight. So the game plan is pretty similar to the previous fight, except this time he is stun immune, so you can't actually parry stun him, but you can still safely drop heavy attacks thanks to unstoppable on block. So all you really need to do is block the first hit of his combo, then release the heavy attack to build monster mass. And the nice thing about Quicksilver's medium attack having multiple hits is you can actually parry the first 2 hits, then go unstoppable on the third, so you don't really take much block damage at all. I also tend to parry or block his special attacks more than dexing, just to avoid some of that whiplash damage. And I did drop more heavy attacks than I usually would, just to make sure that I stay in frenzy, because it is a bit of a longer fight. So I built to 19 mass before dropping the first special 2. Would have been nice if the first hit didn't whiff, but that was always going to be a risk throwing it after rushing in like that. But I knew that some of it would connect because it is unblockable. So now I've pushed him to over 2 bars of power, which is fine. The only annoying thing is he did take his sweet time to throw that special 2. So I ended up going from corner to corner, because Quicksilver animations can also push you back quite a bit with those medium-medium or medium-light combos. He does eventually throw it, and I just block most of it, cause why not, don't wanna risk dexing off the wall. And I did try to parry the first and last hit just to remove some whiplash debuffs. So now I just need to drop 2 more special 2s to finish him off. So a Quicksilver boss with about 1.3 million health goes down in 78 seconds, not bad. So yeah, rank 4 Moleman is an absolute demon, and that's pretty much it for this one. Hope you found it interesting, and as always, thank you for watching, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.